All right, on this True Law Stories, we're going to talk about Rule 11 scaring our friend Brett. Brett, say hi from the Trembly Law Firm.
Hey, guys.
And we're going to talk about how they took on Casey and the Sunshine Band and almost to the Supreme Court. And we talk a little bit about Tiger King and the problem with big law. All in this True Law Stories, brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the best ways to market your business or your law firm is through your customer stories and your client stories. Go to videocasestory.com to learn more. For those that haven't listened to the Garlic Marketing Show, tell us a little bit about your firm and your background as an attorney.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ian. So we're in Miami, Florida, and we do business, franchise, litigation. So anything a business owner needs, right? We're protecting business owners from their employees, which employees are great, but they're also can be a source of a lot of, frustration and liability, to contracts and to mergers and acquisitions. So we work closely with business owners and essentially serve as their outsourced legal department in a lot of ways. And I've been doing this since 2011, and we've grown to, we're at 12 attorneys now with some big plans coming up the next few years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's fast growth. And obviously the legal landscape is changing and you're adapting, and it's really cool. And you started a staffing company too, which I think is interesting as well. Let's talk about Get Staffed Up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do virtual staffing for lawyers and law firms primarily. We have a lot of non-lawyer clients, but the lion's share are, because that's what our niches bring riches, and that's what we're focusing on. It's so hard to hire right now. And when you find out that in certain countries, there are really highly educated, great English speaking, dedicated, talented, hardworking individuals, it's really a no-brainer. I mean, it's so silly to not open your mind to the idea that, just because someone's not born within our borders doesn't mean that they're not, amazing. And so we started this company in 2018. And I mean, just not to brag, but just for sort of like credibility purposes, this year we were named the 67th fastest growing company in the entire country.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because I mean, look, even saying that out loud, like that's a dream. My dream was to even make the list someday, and here we are, top 100. So, it's a real testament to what we're doing and how many law firms we've been able to help.
I love it. I love it. And and we talked to a few of your clients. I'm doing a great job, but along the way, you were an attorney.
Yeah.
And being an attorney, you have some crazy law stories. And so let's talk about your crazy law story.
This one has a good outcome, but it's also slightly embarrassing, and so that's okay, right? Like, everyone always wants to talk about their victories and their successes, but why not share the real stuff? Not everything is sunshine and roses. So this law story happened when I was just out on my own, and of course, when you go out on your own, all your buddies kind of like, hey, I got this, and all the crap that no one else wants, right? So there was, and a lot of this is public, so it's not like I'm sharing anything, confidential, but we filed a lawsuit against Casey and the Sunshine Band. And when I say we, I was a case on contingency. I was representing the son of a guy who had passed away, but who had written the lyrics and done the music for a very obscure song that Casey and the Sunshine Band did called Spank. Right? I don't know, never heard of this song before, but I was contacted by through a friend by a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer in DC, and I was just supposed to be local counsel in the Southern District of Florida. So I was gonna file this stuff and no good deed goes unpunished. So this was like a movie situation where the young lawyer gets a dose of reality. And I learned the hard way that, usually the biggest war chest wins the case. And thankfully the other lawyer saw it all the way through, and it was actually a good outcome. But along the way, there were so many, it was definitely the most stressful few months of my legal practice. And for a second, I thought I was getting, going to be sued or kicked out of the practice of law. But I can get into more of those details. I'm sure you have questions.
Yeah. So what were you suing them for?
It was copyright infringement, right? So basically, they filed a copyright on the song Spank, And we were saying that we were the owner, our client was the owner of that copyright. So when we sued them, their defense was, you have to file for your own copyright and claim that copyright superior. And we're saying, but there can't be two copyrights in the same work. So we're suing saying, no, there's one copyright and we own it. And so they're saying it's settled law that you have to file for your own copyright. In fact, we're going to file a Rule 11, which means that's like in federal court. You learn that early on in law school. That's something you never want to hear. Rule 11 is like, these lawyers are committing horrible, fraud upon the court, and they should be sanctioned. And so, yeah. And so like going up against a big firm who's like emailing me, this guy's emailing me at Saturday at like midnight saying, I'm coming after you and your family. And you're like, you're terrified because you're not getting paid. This is like a contingency deal. You're really trying to do someone a favor, just trying to learn stuff as a young lawyer. And so they filed the Rule 11, and I almost had to, start paying out thousands of dollars to lawyers to defend me on a Rule 11. So I was almost, people were quoting me $10,000 and $15,000. Oh. And that was frustrating too, because instead of looking at the case and being like, Brett, I think you're fine. I don't think this is going to go through because you guys are arguing in good faith, right? Because opposing counsel, high-powered lawyer, they're saying you guys are in big trouble, and so I'm contacting other, like my former professors and people from around, Miami saying, I got myself in a situation. I think I'm in trouble here. And they're like, send me $15,000 instead of like, nobody took the time to do the right thing, which is frustrating. And I always took this with me in the practice of law. It's like scaring a client into paying you and they don't need to. So what we ended up, me and the lady lawyer from DC representing ourselves, and we won the Rule 11. We lost the ruling though, and basically it got dismissed. But we appealed and then won.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and all the way, this is federal court, so all the way up to the 11th Circuit, which is one shy of the Supreme Court, right? By that time, I had bailed. Once the Rule 11 was done, I'm like, I cannot be your local counsel anymore. I have a family to feed. I can't, this case is taking up all my time and we're not making any money. And I don't have other cases. It's not like I had a firm like I do now with a lot of resources, right? So, we appealed. I left the case. She ended up winning the appeal, but I lost, stress, time. I didn't even get reimbursed the cost that I was fronting for the other lawyer and the clients. And then I think they ended up settling from there. So, man, it was just like, there was even like going back to that state of mind I was in, it was such a scary place. I'm like, how did I get myself into this mess?
Yeah. And I think it's crazy because you were doing the right thing. You were representing a client. Because you think about, especially now, we're seeing quite a few frivolous lawsuits flying around.
Yeah.
You got to be looking at those and going, man, how did I get a Rule 11 and these people not?
Yeah, right. And it's like the other lawyer knew it was a bunch of crap, but they were just trying to strong arm us. And when a client has so much money that they can pay a big firm to just crush you in paperwork and to really fight dirty, that's what I mean about the war chest. Like, most of the time in litigation, you don't have a resolution on the merits. You have whoever runs out of money, and it's funny because I did a video on YouTube about, Tiger King when that thing came out and everybody was at home. I did a whole review on the lawsuit because I pulled all the federal filings and I went through what really happened, and the guy basically ran out of money. That's what happened.
Oh, really? And that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, because in federal court, it is so mind-boggling expensive. Like it is insane how expensive it is to litigate something in federal court. And so, you gotta, again, that goes back to just being a lawyer, and they're like, oh yeah, you're in a big trouble. You need to hire me. Here's my retainer. Please send me $15,000. Like, hey, before you sue someone, it's going to cost you $500,000 So you may just want to save your money and go and not do it. That's the right thing to tell a client, not I need a huge $50,000 retainer and maybe we can win this lawsuit early. Like it's not going to happen, not in federal court. So there's just like this law story is just such a mix of, lessons, good and bad, the money, the real side of what drives litigation, and sort of being a young lawyer being taken advantage of by other lawyers who are older and who, like I wish them nothing but the worst in their careers after that. It's not like you're fighting on the merits. It's dirty. It was a dirty game and not one I ever enjoyed being a part of.
So how did that affect how you practice law now?
Yeah, well, especially it affects how we, tell clients or, like when we're meeting with them, hey, if you get hit with a lawsuit, you really have to defend yourself. You can't, like a corporation can't represent themselves in court. So, but maybe you could settle. Maybe you want to hire us just to negotiate the best deal possible. Like, let's talk about what you want out of this thing. And a lot of people are like, well, I'd rather pay you than pay them. I'm like, well, that's easy to say now, but 2 years from now, litigation is exhausting. When you're tired of paying us $5,000 every few months or more in some cases, right? It just really depends. I mean, the interesting thing is we've taken cases over from big firms and we've done a 10 times better job for half the amount of money because we're billing honestly. And big firms really get away with just overbilling their clients. And it's an unfortunate thing because if you went with more of a mid-sized firm, then a lot of things you see that make people unhappy with lawyers wouldn't happen.
Do you see that shifting now because of, and because of the ability like to use gift staffed up and, a small firm can hire more people and charge less. Do you see that shifting?
I see it shifting because people are more entrepreneurial these days. It used to be like, I'm going to go to law school and then I'm going to work at a big firm. I'm going to become a partner after 7 years. And then I'm going to just, have the country club lifestyle. And like, it doesn't work that way anymore. You have to bring business to the table and generate clients. So you're like, well, why don't I do that for myself anyway? So you see a lot of people starting law firms these days. There's way more resources on how to run a law firm, right? Because it's a business than there used to be. And there's a $1 billion industry out of helping small law firms because, I mean, you're in it, you get it. I'm in it with Get Staffed Up, I get it. A lot of lawyers don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to market. They definitely don't know how to sell. They know how to do the legal work, but that's just a small fraction of owning a business or a law firm. And so now that there's more resources out there, yeah, there's a big shift. I have a lot of friends who left big law and are much happier on their own.
Yeah, I know very few people that were happy in big law.
Yeah, it used to be like if you're in big law, it's because you're smart and you made it. I look at people in big law now like that person didn't have the ability or the guts, or they're not good enough to do it on their own. I look at those people like they're stuck, and I had a guy that runs a 30-person division in a law firm in Miami of a global law firm, managing partner, but still billing his ass off, if I can use that word.
Yeah, I can.
And managing the firm. And we had dinner because they were quote unquote, interested in buying my firm. And by the end of the day, he flat out told me, he's like, I'm really envious of you. Our income's not that much different, and you're just way happier and doing what you want and out there making a difference and building a firm and not having to live by the billable hour. And this is my life. Like it was so refreshing to hear someone be that honest.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to understand it is shifting, and the size of the firm doesn't mean you're getting a better firm. A lot of times it means you're spending more money. Well, that's awesome. And so if someone does want to hire you, if they have you handle copyright issues now, right? Or you handle copyright, you don't handle litigation, correct?
No. We do the litigate. So we do not patent. That's the one part we don't do, but we do trademark and copyright litigation in federal court. We've got attorneys, very experienced at that. And then we do all of the state court, you know, anything that business owners need, that's, you know, what we do.
Awesome. So we'll put a link to the Trembly Law Firm and to Get Staffed Up in the show notes from True Law Stories. But Brett, thank you so much for being on True Law Stories.
Hey man, thanks again for having me. I loved it.
And thank you all for listening to Brett and I. This has been Iron Garlic and True Law Stories.